Long, long ago, in a quiet village deep in the mountains, there lived a kind-hearted woodcutter. He lived in a small thatched house with his elderly mother. They were very poor, but the woodcutter's heart was warmer than anyone else's. His mother had been ill for a long time and spent most of her days lying in bed. They could not afford proper medicine, so her illness slowly grew worse. Still, the woodcutter went up the mountain every single day to cut firewood. He wanted to earn enough money to give his mother at least one more bowl of warm porridge. Early this morning, as the sun began to rise, the woodcutter carefully placed his old iron axe on his wooden carrier. The axe was rusty, and its blade was dull, but to the poor woodcutter, it was more precious than anything in the world. "Mother, I'm heading out now. Today, I'll cut lots of wood and buy you some delicious food," he said. "Be careful, my son," his mother replied gently. With strong steps, the woodcutter climbed the mountain path. A small song flowed from his lips as he walked. "Off to cut wood, off to cut wood. I'll sell the wood and earn some money, so I can buy tasty food and good medicine for my dear mother." Though he was poor, the woodcutter's heart was full of love and devotion. And so, another day in the life of the kind woodcutter quietly began. After walking for a long while, the woodcutter reached a thick pine forest beside a quiet pond. Tall pine trees rose high into the sky, and next to them lay a clear and deep pond, still and silent. The woodcutter spat lightly into his hands to gather his strength. "Well then, let's start chopping. Two, two, thump, thump, thump." He swung his axe with all his might. Each time the axe struck the thick pine tree, a heavy sound echoed through the forest. Beads of sweat rolled down his forehead. Then suddenly, oh no! The axe handle, slippery with sweat, slipped from his hands. The woodcutter's old iron axe flew through the air and splashed straight into the pond. "Oh dear! This is terrible. I've dropped my only axe." The woodcutter rushed to the edge of the pond, but it was already too late. The axe had sunk deep into the dark water and was nowhere to be seen. He collapsed onto the ground beside the pond. Though it was old and rusty, the iron axe was more precious to him than anything else. Without it, he could not cut wood. And without selling wood, he could not buy medicine for his mother. "What will I do now? How will I take care of my mother?" The future felt dark and hopeless. Sitting by the pond, the poor woodcutter could no longer hold back his tears, and he began to cry bitterly. The woodcutter cried for a long time. Tears streamed down his cheeks, and his quiet sobs echoed around the still pond. Just then, something strange began to happen. Soft white mist slowly rose from the middle of the pond. Startled, the woodcutter wiped his tears and looked up. Within the mysterious mist, a figure gradually appeared. An old man with white hair, white eyebrows, and a long white beard stood upon the pond. His presence was so grand and sacred that the woodcutter could hardly breathe. "Who are you?" the voice echoed gently. "And why are you crying so sadly?" The mountain spirit's voice was calm and deep. The woodcutter hurriedly bowed low. "I am a poor woodcutter from the village below," he said. "I made a careless mistake and dropped my axe into the pond. It was my only axe, and without it, I do not know how I will go on living." The mountain spirit listened quietly and slowly nodded his head. Was it truly such a precious axe? If that is so, I will help you find it." As soon as he finished speaking, the mountain spirit slipped gently into the pond. Not a single ripple stirred the water. The woodcutter could only stare in amazement. After a short while, the mountain spirit rose from the pond once more. This time, he held something in his hand. It was a golden axe, shining so brightly it almost hurt the eyes. Glimmering in the sunlight, it looked more beautiful than any treasure in the world. Holding the golden axe high, the mountain spirit asked, "Is this your axe?" For a moment, the woodcutter's heart began to pound. If I had that golden axe, I could cure my mother's illness. But slowly, he shook his head. "No, sir. My axe is an old iron axe." Without a word, the mountain spirit disappeared into the pond again. After some time passed, he appeared once more, this time holding a silver axe. It shone softly, like moonlight on water, just as dazzling as the golden one. "Is this your axe?" Once again, the woodcutter felt his heart waver, but he gently shook his head. "No, sir. My axe is a worthless, old iron axe." The mountain spirit nodded quietly and slowly sank back into the pond once more. The woodcutter stared anxiously at the pond. "This time, he will surely bring back my old iron axe," he thought. Time passed slowly. What would usually feel like a short moment felt as long as an entire day to the woodcutter. At last, soft white mist rose from the pond once more. The mountain spirit appeared again. In his hand was a rusty, dull-bladed axe, the woodcutter's old iron axe. "Then tell me," the mountain spirit asked, "is this your axe?" The woodcutter's face lit up with joy. His voice trembled as he answered, "Yes. Yes, it is. That iron axe is truly mine." Overwhelmed with happiness, the woodcutter bowed deeply again and again. Though the axe looked old and worthless, it was more precious to him than anything else in the world. The mountain spirit gazed down at the woodcutter with a warm, satisfied smile. "Ho ho! You are truly an honest young man," he said, his voice filled with admiration. Then, to the woodcutter's surprise, the mountain spirit handed him all 3 axes. "Because your heart is pure and honest, I give you the golden axe and the silver axe as well. Never lose that honesty." The woodcutter's eyes widened in disbelief. He had only hoped to get his iron axe back, yet now he had received the golden and silver axes, too. He hurried to thank the mountain spirit, but in the blink of an eye, the spirit had already disappeared. Only soft white mist drifting above the pond remained, showing where the mountain spirit had stood. The woodcutter hugged the 3 axes tightly to his chest. He had recovered his old iron axe and gained the golden and silver ones as well. His joy knew no bounds. "Mother! Now I can cure your illness," he cried. With light, joyful steps, the woodcutter danced his way back toward the village. It felt as if even the birds were singing along with him. Though he was poor, the honest woodcutter was blessed by the heavens. A bright smile filled his face as he walked down the mountain path, knowing he could now buy good medicine and delicious food for his mother. Soon, word spread throughout the village that the kind-hearted woodcutter had received a golden axe and a silver axe. Everyone praised his honesty and said it was a blessing sent from heaven. The story even reached the ears of a greedy woodcutter who lived in a nearby village. As soon as he heard it, his eyes sparkled with desire. "So that's what happened. Well then, why can't I do the same?" he said. The greedy woodcutter grew so excited at the thought of getting a golden axe and a silver axe that he could hardly sleep. At dawn the next morning, he quickly grabbed his axe and rushed straight to the pine forest by the pond. When he arrived, he looked around carefully. Seeing that no one was there, he stood in front of a tree. He pretended to chop it a few times. Thump, thump, thump. But he had no intention of cutting wood at all. Glancing around once more, the greedy woodcutter suddenly threw his axe with all his strength into the middle of the pond. Splash! The axe disappeared beneath the water. "Oh no! My axe! Whatever shall I do?" he cried loudly. The greedy woodcutter began to wail on purpose. "Wah! Wah!" Though no tears came, he rubbed his eyes and shook his voice as if he were truly heartbroken. He cried in an exaggerated way, as if acting on a stage. After a while, just as expected, white mist began to rise from the center of the pond. A sly smile crept across the greedy woodcutter's face. From within the mist, the mountain spirit with white hair and a long white beard slowly appeared. "Who are you?" the spirit asked gently. "And why are you crying so sadly?" "That's it. That old man must be the mountain spirit," the greedy woodcutter thought, secretly cheering inside. But on the outside, he put on the saddest face he could and said, "I am a woodcutter from the village below. I made a mistake and dropped my only axe into the pond." In his heart, the greedy woodcutter was already imagining the golden and silver axes in his hands. The mountain spirit looked quietly at the greedy woodcutter for a moment. Then he slowly nodded. "Very well. I will look for it." As soon as he finished speaking, the mountain spirit disappeared into the pond. The greedy woodcutter's heart began to race. A smile spread across his face as he imagined the golden and silver axes soon belonging to him. Before long, the mountain spirit rose from the pond once more. In his hand was a golden axe, shining so brightly it was almost blinding. When the greedy woodcutter saw it sparkle in the sunlight, his eyes grew wide. "Is this your axe?" the mountain spirit asked. The greedy woodcutter was so delighted that he could not hold himself back. He shouted at the top of his voice, loud enough to echo through the mountains, "Yes, great spirit. That axe is mine." In an instant, the mountain spirit's expression changed. His gentle eyes became sharp as lightning, and his voice thundered across the pond. "You fool! How dare you try to deceive me? Do you truly claim that this golden axe is yours?" The greedy woodcutter was so frightened that he fell backward onto the ground. His legs shook, and his face turned pale. Well, I mean I," he stammered, unable to finish his words. Without another glance, the mountain spirit took the golden axe and vanished into the pond. "Wait! Please wait! You must give me my axe," the greedy woodcutter shouted as he ran to the water's edge. But it was useless. The pond grew quiet once again, and the mountain spirit never returned. In the end, the greedy woodcutter lost not only the golden and silver axes, but even his own axe as well. With empty hands and a heavy heart, he trudged back home. The honest woodcutter was rewarded with blessings, but the greedy one who lied lost even what he already had. This story reminds us how precious truth and honesty truly are. See you next time with another warm and magical story from long ago. Don't forget to like and subscribe.